Welcome to the Parsha Perspective. Each week, we will delve deep in a weekly Torah portion to find a practical and insightful way to enhance your daily life. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Rabbi Shalom Yamini, and each week we will look into the weekly Torah portion to find practical and insightful ways to enhance your daily life. This week's Parsha Perspective is in honor of the Refuah Shlema, the complete and speedy recovery of HaRav Amitai ben Shoshanna, Leah Mintche bas Gittel, and Shaul ben Berta. This week's Parsha Perspective is in loving memory of Edward Ben Efraim, Shlomo Ben Edward, and Yirachmiel Daniel Ben Gedalia. May their souls be uplifted, and may their memories be a blessing. This week's Torah portion is Parshas Bamidbar and the holiday of Shavous. Step up and be counted. Our Parsha begins the fourth book of the Torah, Sefer of Bamidbar. We take up the story where we left off at the end of the book of Shemos. The Jewish people traveled from Egypt to Mount Sinai, where they received the Torah and committed the grave sin of the golden calf. After obtaining forgiveness, they built a Mishkan and inaugurated it on the 1st of Nissan, almost 1 year since their exodus from Egypt. The Jewish people are now ready to travel to the Eretz Yisrael, to the Promised Land. Our Parsha begins with Hashem commanding Moshe Rabbeinu to count every Jewish male from the ages of 20 to 60. The number totaled 603,550. This excluded the tribe of Levi, who were counted separately and from just 1 month old, totaling 22,000. Hashem then tells Moshe the arrangement that the Jewish people will travel in as they go in the desert. The Mishkan was in the center of this formation. On the east side, the tribes of Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zvulun. On the south side, the tribes of Reuven, Shimon, and Gad. The west side, the tribes of Ephraim, Menashe, and Binyamin, and on the north side had the tribes of Dan, Asher, and Naphtali. However, a question comes to mind. Our Parsha begins with the Jewish people being counted once again. And besides the obvious question as to why the nation is being counted again, our Parsha is always read on the Shabbos before Shavuos. What is the significance of our Parsha that it must be read and emphasized before the holiday, before the Chag of Shavuos? The Chizkuni, the famous French rabbi Rav Chizkiah ben Mana, answers these questions by looking at the 5th and 6th words of our Parsha. The pasuk states, "Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe Bamidbar Sinai," and God spoke to Moshe in the Sinai desert. This means that the Jewish people have not traveled since they received the Torah on Mount Sinai. The Chizkuni explains that God wanted them to be counted and put in a formation because they were about to travel. This is similar to a king or general who counts their troops before battle. And since they are still in the Sinai desert, we read this Parsha right before we receive the Torah anew. However, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory gives us a deeper and more profound explanation. He writes that the Jewish people's nature and spirit changed ever since they entered Midbar Sinai, ever since they entered the Sinai desert. The pasuk in Parshas Yisro states, "Vayesu Refidim vayavon Midbar Sinai vayachnu b'Midbar." And the Jewish people traveled from Refidim, they came to the Sinai desert, and they encamped in the desert. Vayichan Sham Yisrael neged Har, and the Jewish people camped next to the mountain. The words referring to the nation are plural terms. They traveled, they came, they encamped. Yet immediately following is a singular term for camping, Vayichan, and he camped. Rashi, Rav Shlomo Yitzchaki, the leading commentary on the Torah, writes that before entering the Sinai desert, the nation was divided and detached from each other. However, when they arrived in the desert, the Jewish people were remarkably united, one person, one heart. Rabbi Sachs explains that although the Jewish people were counted before, this time it was different. The giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai enabled holiness and spirituality to be embedded in the physical world. This meant that every Jewish man and woman were individually empowered to fulfill and accomplish their godly potential. And when people who are independently motivated come together, they are truly unstoppable. Because each person watches over the other's blind spot and consequently forms an invincible barrier around each other. This counting was a rallying cry for each person to step up and assume their role in God's vision for the world. And the lesson for our spiritual and physical lives is evident and the same. When we start to recognize the uniqueness of our soul and its mission on earth, we begin to surround ourselves with other people who are similarly enlightened. They motivate us to keep going, and we encourage them to press on during challenging times. And as a result, we are constantly made aware of our potential and the road leading to it. There is a powerful quote by Rabbi Lord Sachs. The unity of the Jewish people is like that of the Torah. It is the counterpart of the unity of God. To destroy one is to compromise all others. May we merit to receive the Torah this Shavuos in Jerusalem with the ultimate redemption. Have a meaningful Shabbos and a joyous Shavuos. Thank you for tuning in to the Parsha Perspective. Check out our website, theparshaperspective.com. Send thoughts and comments to theparshaperspective@gmail.com. Till next time, thanks for listening.